this is one big portion of the book. As you go back and you look at the history, the intellectual history of justifications for enlarging the welfare state, then the actual enlargement itself, and there's tons of interesting data that really lays out how much the welfare state has grown, in what dimensions, up to the present day. A second element of the book is an argument, which is that addressed to conservatives and critics of the welfare state, which is in effect that conservatives need to make peace with the welfare state, with its existence, and no longer imagining that it wither away and just go away. Explain that a little bit.
Yeah. During the 78 years now since Franklin Roosevelt introduced the term, the New Deal, there has been a significant contingent within the conservative enterprise that has viewed its victories as provisional and as ones that we could roll back and should roll back if we could figure out how. And it seems to me that one of the results of the quantitative analysis of what's really been spent and when it's been spent for the American welfare state is that there's never been a period in American history when, once established, the welfare state, the regulatory state more broadly, had any discernible period of contraction. It grew most slowly during the 8 years Ronald Reagan was president. It grew measured in constant dollars on a per capita basis. The Reagan presidency saw spending on human resources, as the Office of Management and Budget's jargony term, Social Security, Medicare, other income support and health programs, education programs. It grew less during the 8 years Reagan was president than it did in many individual years in the late 60s and early 70s. So radically slowing down, but still it grew, you know. And there's no evidence from any other country that, I mean, the world really has never sort of seen a shrinking welfare state. Now, maybe we're about to because of economic conditions that can't be sort of jollied into a different frame of mind. But as a political fact, it seems to me that that conservatives' inability to garner a consistent majority for real retrenchment of the welfare state, that's a reality, a fact on the ground, and it can't be wished away. And I think you sometimes sense that there's certain precincts within the conservative movement that are prepared to say, well, if America is really that benighted and stupid and cannot be argued out of this preference, then we ought to just sort of accept the fact that the country is going to spend itself into poverty and sort of a nanny state government, and you know, we've done our best. I mean, generally speaking, I'm a fairly gloomy person. I thought John Darbyshire's book was, you know, We Are Doomed, was, if anything, a little too optimistic. But I mean, I think that on this question, conservatives themselves owe the project that we've been undertaking for a long time, and owe the country a sort of a more concerted and maybe a reconceptualized effort to try to, if we cannot eliminate, and I think we cannot, the welfare state, to make it smaller, better, and fairer than it is so far. That, it seems to me, may be a feasible project and a morally defensible project.